Why is the Black Pearl being fought over, and who exactly is its captain? Well, according to the plot of the movie, the Black Pearl was fought over because she was a very, very fast ship. However, for Jack Sparrow, there is a deep story that makes this ship very meaningful. Before her name became the Black Pearl, this ship was called the Wicked Wench. After becoming captain, Jack worked for Beckett to do the government's dirty work. However, when told to bring human slaves, Jack couldn't bear it and chose to betray Beckett. He released all the slaves, so he was hunted down, declared a pirate, and his ship was sunk. Not accepting his ship sinking, Jack made a deal with Davy Jones to get his ship back to the surface. This is how her name changed to Black Pearl. So for Jack, this ship was not just a tool, but his own life, a form of freedom as a pirate. Unfortunately, after his ship returned, Jack was betrayed by Barbossa, his own friend. So the original captain was Jack Sparrow, but Barbossa was trusted more by the rest of the crew, and Jack was eventually banished from the ship. In the movie Cars 1, there is a car that overtakes Mac while carrying a mattress on its roof. But what is it for? Well, if we pay attention, when the car entered the rest area, it briefly dropped its mattress in one of the places where cars can sleep. Apparently, the car wanted to use the mattress it was carrying to rest. Apparently, in the world of cars, there are cars that sleep using mattresses. You know, in the movie Cloudy with a Chance of Meatballs, there is a unique scene when a giant meal falls from the sky. At that time, every statue of the American president's face on Mount Rushmore had food falling on their faces. However, there was one exception, the statue of President Abraham Lincoln. The food fell on the back of his head. This is a fitting reference to the historical death of Lincoln, who was killed by being shot in the back. In the movie Wall-E, if you notice, the wind power plant is built on top of a pile of garbage that has been piled up. This indicates that humans will change and use clean energy when it is too late. Did you know in the movie Finding Nemo, Gill, which is a black and white fish, is a species of Moorish idlefish, a species of ornamental fish that is difficult to care for and easily stressed in an aquarium. That's why in the movie Gill always wants to escape and has many ideas to escape. Did you know in the movie Interstellar, the black hole scene in the movie is very similar to a real black hole in space? In order to make the scene look so real, it took 100 hours to render each frame. That means every second you see took 100 days to produce the final result. Did you know that in the film Wallace and Gromit, Vengeance Most Foul, there is a farmer character from the Shaun the Sheep series briefly appearing as a cameo in the film? For those who don't know, the sheep character, Shaun the Sheep, first appeared in the short film Wallace and Gromit entitled A Close Shave in 1995, before finally being made into a separate series. Did you know in the film Watchmen, the American flag in the film has 51 stars? This is different from the original flag, which only has 50 stars. The number of stars symbolizes the number of states controlled by America. Well, the 51st additional star represents the country of Vietnam, because in this movie, Vietnam is told to have lost the war and was successfully controlled by America. SpongeBob has worked for 31 years. So in the film, the SpongeBob SquarePants movie, there is one scene where SpongeBob said he has received an award every month for 374 times. If divided by 12, then SpongeBob has worked for 31 years at the Krusty Krab. Plankton is more evil than usual, so in the SpongeBob SquarePants movie, we see Plankton's plan to steal the Krabby Patty recipe by killing Mr. Krab by slandering him as stealing King Neptune's crown. Did you know that in the movie Zootopia, the character of Chief Bogo, the police chief, was inspired by the African buffalo? Which animal has poor eyesight? That's why we see Chief Bogo always wearing glasses in the movie. Why is there an Apple logo car during the race? So in the movie Cars, this Apple logo car was made to honor Steve Jobs as the former owner of the Pixar studio before the studio was finally bought by Disney. Do you know in the movie Wall-E, when Wall-E is preparing supplies, it can be seen that Wall-E carries a bottle of WD-40. WD-40 is an anti-rust lubricant fluid. This shows that Wall-E always takes care of his body so he can operate continuously. Did you know that in the film The Garfield Movie, when Garfield opens his cell phone password, it is 061978? That is the date of the Garfield comic strip, which was first released on June 19, 1978, before it finally became famous. Why is there farming in the Cars world when the film Plans was released, which is still in the same world as the Cars film? There is a character who is a plane whose job is caring for or farming corn. But what is the purpose of the machine planting corn? If, according to the story of the film, those plants will later be made into a type of oil or biofuel that they will drink and become an alternative fuel for vehicle engines. In the film Napoleon, some French media criticized it, claiming that the movie tarnishes the image of a French historical hero and portrays the British in a more favorable light. However, director Sir Ridley Scott strongly rejected these accusations. He argued that the French often don't even like themselves. Responding to critiques about historical inaccuracies, Scott sharply asked historians, "Were you there at the time? If not, then keep quiet." When it comes to history, the two main figures in the film, Arthur Wellesley, known as the Duke of Wellington from Britain, and Napoleon Bonaparte, have an interesting track record. Wellesley led 57 battles with 37 victories. All of his defeats came at the hands of the French, and he often lost even when his forces were much larger than the French. On the other hand, Napoleon led 81 battles, winning 70. Every time he was defeated, it was when his forces were outnumbered. However, it is noteworthy that Napoleon never lost a battle where his army was evenly matched with the enemy. Did you know? In the movie Cars 3, there's an interesting scene where Lightning McQueen disguises himself to enter a race. During this moment, he introduces himself as Chester Whipplefilter.
Yes, that's me, Chester Whipplefilter.
It turns out that this name isn't just random. It was actually inspired by Mr. Weeple, a character from a toilet paper commercial that was popular in America from the 1960s to the 1990s. What's even more unique is that this character referenced an unusual method of using toilet paper as an oil filter for car engines. Did you know in the Boss Baby movie, if you pay close attention to the beginning, you'll notice an interesting detail. When the Boss Baby first arrives, Tim, who is watching from above, is wearing a shirt with the number 1 on it. However, shortly after the Boss Baby comes down, Tim's shirt changes to display the number 2. This subtle change symbolizes his loss of status. He is no longer the beloved number 1 child in the house, as that position has now been taken over by the Boss Baby. Why don't they just send robots into space in the film Interstellar? When Cooper arrives on Dr. Mann's planet, the doctor explains that robots weren't sent because they couldn't be programmed to fear death. In fact, this was shown earlier, when the team was hit by a giant wave on the first planet they visited. In that emergency situation, the Case robot continued to walk leisurely, doing its job, even though it could actually run fast if ordered. This shows that because robots don't have a fear of death, they can't improvise in an emergency. Did you know in the movie Cars, there are 2 twin cars who are big fans of Lightning McQueen? These 2 cars are named Mia and Tia. This car is inspired by a real car called Mazda Miata.